Welcome to the Deep Dive. We take source materials, history, narratives, research, and we pull out the core insights for you. Today we're looking at one person's journey, Annabelle Worthington. She starts out as the picture of Gilded Age society, but her life just gets hit by one thing after another. Global events, personal betrayals. Our goal here is to really track her evolution. From this sheltered New York debutante in 1912 through the mid-1920s, we want to see how massive events like the Titanic, like World War I, and these awful personal moments, how they forced her to change from what her father called a porcelain doll into this respected doctor.
It really is an incredible story arc. And for you listening, it's a powerful look at resilience, I think. Annabelle was sort of trapped in this golden cage, you could say. The expectations for aristocratic women back then were immense. So we'll explore that pressure, but also contrast it with the kind of radical freedom she finds later. Though it's a freedom born from really terrible circumstances, from war and social ruin.
Okay, let's dig in. So 1912, Annabelle Worthington, she's 18, very much part of high society. The sources describe her really vividly, don't they? Tiny, elfin, delicate, a petite blonde. Her father, Arthur, even called her his porcelain doll. Fragile, protected.
Exactly. The perfect picture of compliant wealth. And then, ironically, it's illness that changes her immediate path. She gets really sick, severe influenza, maybe bronchitis. The doctor absolutely forbids her from going on a planned trip to Europe. And that illness, that's the only reason she wasn't on the Titanic with her family.
Wow. And the news hits her just like that. She reads the paper, April 14th, 1912. The ship sank. She races down to the White Star office, waits for an hour in this, chaotic crowd, only to find the survivor list. Her father, Arthur, her brother, Robert, they're gone. Only her mother, Consuelo, is listed among the survivors. Just devastating.
And Consuelo later tells her this really painful but heroic detail. Apparently, Arthur and Robert refused spots in Lifeboat 4. It wasn't even full, but they stayed behind to help, making sure women and children got priority. So this double loss forces Annabelle and Consuelo into what was then a mandatory year of mourning.
Right, the strict social rules, no parties, no invitations, total social lockdown.
Yeah, and it's in this period, this kind of enforced quiet, that Annabelle finds something else. She starts volunteering at a hospital. It seems like she's looking for purpose, something real outside of that social bubble.
But her mother, Consuelo, is on a totally different track, isn't she?
Completely. While Annabelle's finding meaning in hospital work, Consuelo is worried. She sees the mourning period as, a threat to Annabelle's marriage prospects. Her absolute top priority becomes finding Annabelle a suitable husband, and fast. Time's ticking.
Which leads us straight into Section 2 and this fateful marriage. Consuelo picks Josiah Milbank. He's 38, respected at Annabelle's late father's bank. Described as having gentle manners, being steady, he seems like the perfect replacement for the lost structure in their lives.
He does, on the surface. But Annabelle, she's got this secret passion simmering underneath that completely clashes with the whole porcelain doll thing. She actually confides in Josiah that she'd rather be a doctor. She admits she's been reading medical books. And then she says something quite shocking for the time, telling him she wishes she could dissect a real person, a corpse, like in medical school.
That detail always gets me. Here's this delicate society girl talking about dissecting bodies. It shows the ambition wasn't just a reaction to trauma later on. It was there all along, just suppressed. And Josiah, interestingly, he keeps this secret for her. Doesn't tell her mother.
No, he doesn't. So they get married. Consuelo's thrilled, thinks Josiah is filling the gap left by Annabelle's brother, Robert. But the marriage itself is distant. There's something off. And then, bang, their first anniversary in 1915, Josiah tells her the truth. The marriage is a complete sham.
He says he can't actually be her husband because he's in love with someone else. His oldest friend, Henry Orson, his college roommate, even works with him. But hang on, if that's the case, why marry her at all? Why the charade for a year? Why not just quietly end it? Why ruin her?
Well, that really speaks volumes about the society they lived in, doesn't it? The Gilded Age pressures. He apparently married her out of genuine affection, feeling protective after the Titanic. But he felt trapped by his own secret and the social code. He insists on divorce, maybe thinking it frees her. But the only way he could get out cleanly, maintaining his own standing, was to claim she committed adultery, even though she was still a virgin.
So the system protected the man's reputation, even based on a lie, over the woman's actual innocence. That's the takeaway here, isn't it?
Absolutely. It's less about Josiah's sexuality and more about the social mechanics. And for Annabelle, this is social death. We have to understand, for you listening, being a divorcee accused of adultery in 1915 New York. She was finished. an outcast in her own world, as the source says.
And it hits hard and fast. Her own best friend, Horty, is forbidden by her husband, James, to even associate with Annabelle. James's reasoning: a man of Josiah's moral stature wouldn't divorce someone unless she'd done something truly terrible. The assumption of her guilt was immediate.
Annabelle must have realized then that the truth didn't matter. People would believe the scandal. Her only option was to run, physically escape.
And that forced escape, ironically, opens the door to a completely different life. 1915, she's on a ship to Europe. And notably, she books second class. It's a small detail, but a big symbol, right? Leaving that aristocratic world behind.
Definitely. She uses her previous volunteer experience. She'd worked at Ellis Island with immigrants to get a position in France, which is now deep in World War I.
She ends up at the Abbaye de Royaumont near Paris. It's a hospital set up and run entirely by women. And this is a world away from New York society. Grueling hours, assisting in surgeries, dealing with, the horrors of war firsthand, emptying bedpans, disposing of limbs, comforting dying soldiers.
It's the total destruction of that porcelain doll image. It's raw, messy, real work.
And it's in this environment, amongst all that chaos and tragedy, that her dream of medicine actually starts to become real.
Yes, a surgeon there, Dr. Hugues Debray, notices her. He's impressed by her skill, how calm she is under pressure. Her French is good, too. And he's the one who suggests she apply to medical school in Nice.
He points out something crucial, too, didn't he? About the war.
He did. He basically said, now's your chance. With so many young men fighting, medical schools were finding it easier to accept women. The war, in a way, created this unexpected opportunity for her. History itself was giving her permission to follow a path her old life would have absolutely forbidden.
But war gives, and war takes away. Her trials aren't over. In 1917, she's working closer to the front lines at a field hospital.
Yes, Villers-Cotterêts. And there, she experiences another horrific trauma. She's assaulted, raped by a drunken British officer, Lord Harry Winchell.
He's apparently killed in action shortly after the assault.
Which leaves Annabelle dealing with the aftermath alone. And the most devastating consequence: she discovers she's pregnant.
Pregnant, unmarried, already a social outcast back home due to the divorce. She can't possibly go back to America like this.
No. So she has to construct another layer of secrecy. She hides the pregnancy for months, binding herself tightly. Imagine the physical and mental strain of that.
It's staggering. She essentially has to erase her past and invent a new one.
Completely. She leaves the hospital, buys a simple gold wedding ring, moves to Nice, and she creates a cover story. She's a war widow. Her husband was killed at Ypres. She has to maintain this lie while trying to get into and succeed in medical school.
And she gives birth, totally alone, to her daughter. She names her Consuelo after her mother. Despite the pain and isolation, the source says she felt her child was worth every instant of pain. And she pushes forward.
She does. She gets back into medical school, the only woman there, mind you, and eventually graduates and opens her own general practice in Paris. And she's successful.
The sources emphasize her dedication, right? She's not just playing doctor.
Not at all. She's blending new medical knowledge with older techniques. She works incredibly hard. She even takes shifts in the tuberculosis ward, which was highly dangerous then, and doesn't tell her mother or Josiah. Her success is earned, completely separate from her old life.
Then, years later, when her daughter Consuelo is about 6, Annabelle makes a brave decision. She reaches out to the mother of the man who assaulted her.
Yes. She writes to Lady Winchell, Harry's mother. It must have been incredibly difficult.
But Lady Winchell's reaction is unexpected, isn't it?
It is. She's described as wise, perhaps aware of her son's character. She accepts Annabelle's story. She even says something like her son Harry was the devil in our lives.
Wow. Validation from an unlikely source.
And more than just validation, Lady Winchell legally acknowledges the child, Consuelo, to shield her from the stigma of illegitimacy. Gives her the combined name Winchell Worthington. It's a huge act of kindness and protection. Annabelle's truth is finally believed by someone powerful.
You'd think this might be a turning point towards trust, towards healing. But then comes what the source calls the cruelest blow.
Yes, Antoine de Saint-Cré, a charming orthopedic surgeon. Annabelle falls in love, genuinely believes she's found happiness.
And when he proposes, she decides she has to be completely honest this time. No more secrets.
So she tells him everything. The whole messy truth, the lie about syphilis to protect Josiah, why the divorce really happened, the social ostracism, the rape, the fact that Consuelo is illegitimate, she lays it all bare.
And Antoine's reaction.
It's brutal. He explodes. He refuses to believe her innocence. He doesn't see the woman who survived all this. He just sees the scandals, the broken rules.
He calls her a liar. A loose woman.
Yes. Says her bastard child has contaminated his family name. And then the final cruelty, he refuses to even drive her home. Just leaves her there.
That's worse than Josiah, in a way.
Yeah.
Josiah was trapped by his own issues, but Antoine claimed to love her, the person she'd become.
Exactly. He had the choice to believe her, the woman he supposedly loved, but he chose to believe the societal labels instead. Annabelle is devastated. She feels like she's branded forever, that no matter what she achieves, people will always see the scandals first.
So eventually in 1925, she goes back to the U.S., to New York and Newport, after 10 years away, mainly for her daughter, Consuelo, to see her heritage.
Yeah, a trip back into the past, and it provides this moment of perspective. She bumps into her old friend Horty at the country club.
And Horty, who stayed within that golden cage.
Yeah.
How is she described?
As blousy, tired, and overwhelmed. Lots of kids. Annabelle's daughter, little Consuelo, quite bluntly judges her as ugly and fat.
Ouch. But it's a stark contrast, isn't it? Annabelle's difficult path saved her from that specific kind of societal decay, perhaps.
It seems that way. Annabelle also visits Josiah's old cottage in Newport. It's empty, overgrown, a ghost of the past.
And there she finally tells Consuelo the simplified truth about the divorce, that Josiah was sick, and she protected him.
And standing there, she realizes something important. The pain from Josiah. It's faded. It's old news. The wound that still feels fresh, that really hurts, is Antoine's betrayal.
That clarity helps her, doesn't it? To separate who she is from how others, like Antoine, chose to see her.
It does, and maybe it sets the stage for the final chapter we see. On the ship back to France, she meets a man named Callum. He's a publisher for the International Herald Tribune. He's described as intelligent, warm,
And crucially, he seems to value her for who she actually is, her strength, her integrity, what she's achieved, not her past scandals or her lost status.
She senses this mutual respect. The source calls it a good start.
And she has this moment of realization. The people who hurt her, Josiah, Antoine, the society that judged her, they can't touch her anymore. As the text says, they could take nothing from her. She had her own life, and it was a good one.
It's a powerful conclusion to that arc. She was victimized, yes, socially first, then physically. But those terrible events forced her out of that cage. They ultimately led her to define herself through her own hard work, becoming a doctor, raising her daughter not by the opinions of others.
The lesson seems clear. Adversity didn't just shape her. It forged her sense of self, one that couldn't be destroyed by gossip or betrayal.
Exactly. She built a life based on her actions, on her profession, on saving lives, not on maintaining appearances.
So, for you listening, what's the final thought here? Annabelle finds hope with Callum, someone who seems to see the real her. But that experience with Antoine, the man who said he loved her, but chose to believe the worst, that leaves a mark, doesn't it? It reveals something difficult about human nature, maybe. So think about this. What truth do you carry about yourself, something you know is real, but you suspect the world might struggle to accept or believe? How does holding onto that private knowledge shape you? Does it empower you, or does it sometimes feel isolating? Something to consider.